Hello YouTube, this is TheShypianist, or Donald of the Zephyr wargames. This is my Madolche deck profile. Now, I will say that any of you who may have already watched my Madolche OTK duel replay from CyberKnight8610, posting my OTK duel replay. This is the deck profile for that deck, and yes, it hasn't changed 6 months now, so I feel the need to finally give you the deck profile from the duel replay. So here we are. First off, we start off with 40 card deck, 20 monsters, 17 traps, 17 spells, sorry, and 3 traps. So, starting with monsters, we definitely have to have Angeli. She's one of your main cards to have. One Crossant. Simply he actually helps out in some cases. 3 Hootcakes. With the Mewtwo Angeli combo, he is much included. 3 Magdalenes, my favourite, always the Searcher. 1 Marmalade. She's tendency has she's more for the help in case of defense and to get back your Madolche spell traps. 3 Messenger Lalos. He's really necessary at 3 now with all the special summoning from deck and hand. 3 Mewtwo, and as with Mewtwo Angeli, he's a core component. And with this deck, I have 3 Pudding Cessors. Now, I'll explain why later with the extra deck, as she is a pretty handy card in performing a lot of unusual OTKs. And I will say that this deck is actually for fun, and please don't take it as a as if it could be more competitive or consistent way, as my Madolche deck is a creation to be made for fun, and so this is probably why you won't see a lot of the tournament staples such as Bottomless Trap Hole, Solemns, and all of that in the Spell and Trap lot. So that's the monsters there. Okay, so for spells, we start off with Burrow from a different dimension. Now this card has been, in a sense, very helpful when playing a lot of like macro decks, or remove from play decks, or even Dark Law and such, mostly because it also gives you the option when you have Tiamasu out of the field, you can actually use her effect by sending monsters from your remove from play pile back to the grave, allowing her to use her effect. And generally because it's a nice card, in the event when you do banish from Hootcake's effect, you can also use this in conjunction. This is also a key component for a Chain Link 2, as one of the notable cards in my deck is the Chain Summoning card. Chain Summoning, if you don't know what it does, it's if you play it as a Chain Link 3, you'll be allowed to perform a maximum number of 3 normal summons. Now, this was my alternative to Ultimate Offering ever since it's banned. So having this has surprised people when I play a card and then they respond, and then you respond with this, and then it is game with most of the time, which is quite funny to see their faces when you're just like, what card is that? Next we have Double Summon, 2 double summons. This card has proven helpful when you're having only mag and or needing to get a Tiamasu out. And it helps out with some of the OTKs in a sense. Next we have 2 Instant Fusions. Now, Instant Fusion isn't exactly a card that you would think to be within Madolche's, but it has been shown that if you have Instant Fusion, and Mewtwo and Jelly, you essentially have an OTK. I'll provide some info on the OTKs straight after this profile. We have 2 Chateaus. Running it 2 is a dream. Simply because a lot of the time you're going to be it's helpful to play it to recycle your monsters, or you play it on top of it to have a Madolche target engrave, or you literally keep recycling it back in from Chocolate Mode's effect, which I will go on to after. 2 tickets, definitely 2 tickets for me, because you're always on the need to search for the right cards for the OTKs and such. 2 Mystical Space Typhoons. These are your best cards when you're facing against cards like Lose One Turn, Vanity's Emptiness, and mainly Skill Drain, because this is your lifesaver here with in this deck profile, because a lot of time when you face a card like that, you're going to have to either resort to Pudding Cess destroying the Spiral Trap, or if it's Skill Drain, you really need your Mystical Space Typhoon. 1 Raigeki. It's this nice staple spell to have in any deck. 2 Star Changers. Now, this is the card in which has led me to my ridiculous combos, in a sense, and the one that's in the dual replay. I'll go over the combo in a sense. So, 1 Swords of Ring Light. This has always been a great saver in times where you're backed against the wall and you really need your next 3 draws to help you out to get back on your feet. So that's the spells there. And for traps, we have 1 Madolche Lesson. This is mainly in the event where you've done your Miffy Angelic combo so many times, 3 times, and they've all been destroyed, so you need to recycle your Levia, which is I'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, this one is not necessarily in a sense is really needed, but it's nice to fall back on, and it also gives a nice 800 boost when you're up against monsters which have really high attack, but negate your effects. So this is sometimes has been helpful to run over those sort of monsters. And last 2 Madolche Paloozas. These have been really nice to play when someone counters one of your summoning stages, and then you're like, oh, if only I could summon out more monsters. Then this has been your the helper for those sort of OTKs. Okay, so now we're moving on to the extra deck. So with the instant fusions, you get out Paracycloid, or any level 5 Earth attribute monster, simply because this is mainly used so you overlay with Pudding Cess to get Chocolate Mode. Since Chocolate Mode does not require specific Madolches, level 5 level 5 Madolche monsters, you can actually substitute this as one of the others. But yeah, let's go on to Chocolate Mode when I get to her. Okay, 1 Gargaga Cowboy. He's your final resort when you've done all this OTK mainly in tag duels and sometimes single duels. You literally just get him out for dealing the last extra 800 damage and finishing the game. Okay, we have 3 Levias. This is generally because I use the Mewtwo and Jelly combo. You'll see why in a sec. He's one of the key cards and components in that combo. Next we have 2 MX Saber Invokers. I run 2, mainly because there's a lot of times where you summon out Mewtwo and maybe a Hoot Cake, or in this case, mainly a Hoot Cake, and you also have a level 4 Madolche, but you don't have a Madolche that's vanished, so it's always nice to go into MX Saber Invoker, which gives you a bit of leeway into it, to then bounce your opponent's cards back. Next up are 3 Chocolate Modes. This card has been a really nice support for the Madolches, as well. Your main effect is to you bounce back Madolche's spell traps that have been destroyed and shuffle it back into your deck, and it also makes a good recycler in that sense. And also you can power it on top of Queen Tiramisu to give it a total of 3,000 attack when you have the field spell on, making each one a formidable beater, in a sense. Next we have 3 Tiramisus. Self-explanatory, as we all know, Tiramisu is the boss monster, and the fact that its effect doesn't target makes it a lovely card when you're facing against cards like Magic Spectres and Cosmo, as a lot of the times they're saying you can't target these cards, but Tiramisu just gets on with that. And for last, well, I tend to run number 101, Silent Honor Arc, generally because there's times where there's always a powerful special summoned monster, and a lot of your, well, if you're in an unlucky situation where you can't recycle back your Tiramisus, you always want to one for those big annoying monsters that have been now. Okay, so that's that for the extra deck, but as I now move on to combos with the deck. So the first one, as I mentioned, is your Mifu Angeli. This is your standard combo, as basically it allows you to play this combo, and then in the end of the turn you have them back in your hand, ready to play for the next turn should a, well, Black Rose or post time Exton Knight would come onto the field, and you just like, fine, leave it. So this combo involves the fact you have to have just these 2 cards really. So if you first summon this Muflif out, and with its effect, you special summon Angeli, and then from Angeli, you then tribute it to the graveyard to summon out Hootcake. Now, probably best to put in defense, as it can't be destroyed by result of battle from Angeli's effect until your next end phase. So using Hoot's effect, you then banish Angeli to get out your Messengelato. Now, Messengelato, when special summoned, you add a Madolche spell or trap. Now, in this case, for just a single combo alone, assuming there's no cards on your side of the field, you always go with the Chateau. So you activate Chateau, laying it in place, and then you rank Exceed Summon using a 2 level 3s for Levia, which I said is your other key card in this combo, or the non-Madolche card. Using Levia's effect, you want to detach Mifli to the graveyard and get back Angeli. And then from there, you get Tiramisu from that, the 2 level 4s. Now, this is under the assumption that your opponent does have 1 or 2 cards, allowing you to then use Tiramisu's effect to detach Angeli, and then target your Mifu Angeli and then return them back to your deck. Now with Chateau on the field, you can then return them back to your hand, thus you have it ready for your next turn. And then you bounce back 2 cards your opponent controls, and then with my one, I tend to go straight into Chocolat mode. Simply in the sense that should the field get wiped, when you perform it the second time, your Chocolat mode will allow you to bounce back the Chateau back into your deck, allowing you to essentially go at it again. And so, yeah, that's the main combo. Now, yeah, I've mentioned earlier that if you add Instant Fusion, 1 Instant Fusion, that would actually provide you an OTK. Now, I actually learnt this off on another YouTube video. Sorry I couldn't give credit to whose video is. But yeah, this one has been the reason why Chocolat mode is actually really good for the deck. So, without further ado, you start off having these 3 cards in your hand, normal summon, and effect special summon Angeli. Now you can just go straight into instant fusion, which provides you a level 5 Earth fusion monster. And from there, you tribute Angeli, and of course you need your pudding sass. So you then overlay these two level 5s to get chocolate mode. Now chocolate mode, as you may know, if it has pudding sass as a material, should a Madolche card be returned back into the deck, you're able to detach a material and special summon one Madolche from your deck in face up attack or face down defense position. Now the key thing about this is that you can activate it any number of times. So as long as if it had 10 materials and one pudding sass as a material, then you essentially can just keep on doing it as many times. So her first effect though is when you target a Madolche card in your graveyard and you can return it back into your deck. Now if the field's in play, you have the option to return it back to your hand, but by returning it to your hand, it doesn't trigger her effect for detach. So you have to return this back to your deck and you detach per Cycloid. With it, you then special summon out Hoot Cake in attack and then with Hoot Cake's effect, you banish your level 5 fusion to get out Gelato. Now in this case, you would want to search for Ticket rather than Chateau, simply because it would add an extra boost for things later. So you play your Chateau, and then with it, you first Exceed Summon into MX Saber Invoker, which is why I now run 2 of these. You detach any one, and you special summon now a Gelato. So that's why Gelato is at 3, because a lot of the times you actually want a lot of copies of him in the deck. So you then overlay these 2 into Tiramisu. Now this, you give the option to bounce your opponent's cards. If they didn't have any cards on their side of the field, you also can go into chocolate mode and use her effect to then trigger the first chocolate mode again. So when you bounce back, but in this case, I'll go with the fact that your opponent does have cards, because you're most likely doing this on your second turn, and your opponent may have set one or two one monster, maybe a spell trap. So you bounce back your 2 monsters, bounce back your Hoot Cake and Gelato back into the deck, allowing to chocolate mode to trigger. This then will trigger Ticket compulsory. So in this, in some cases, you can actually go into a level 3 beast cross-sent with Ticket, and then make sure that you special summon Gelato out second, and this will allow you to provide a field, give you the field spell, play the field spell, and essentially you can DK your opponent from a lot more damage. I guess with my deck, you have the alternative to actually go into 2 pudding sasses again, meaning you can Exceed Summon for another chocolate mode, and then use her effect to then bounce, detach, and special summon in a sense. But yeah, it's your option of whether you want to go straight into another chocolate mode and use her effect for like another time and such. So that's one of the OTKs. Now I will now go over the OTK that I performed in the dual replay. Now this was something that I have thought of before, and finally it came into fruition, as the key card was in fact Star Changer. So let me just get out the 4 cards here. So your Angeli, you have a double summon, and you have Yeah, there you go, a Star Changer. Okay. So with this combo, you can actually have either Muesli or Angeli, or in your hand. One or the other is fine because Magdalene will search the other. So without further ado, I will perform the dual replay combo. So I believe we had Angeli in hand. So first, it doesn't matter what other card you can have in your hand. So you normal summon out Magdalene. You then search for one or the other, Muesli or Angeli, and you then have that in hand. Go for a double summon, provides you the second normal summon, and you normal summon Muesli and Angeli. You then tribute Angeli for Pudding Cess. There we go. And this is why the Star Changer was in here, as I thought that you could use Chocolate Mode and then say once per turn. So here's why. So with Star Changer, you make Pudding Cess a level 4, allowing you to then overlay into a tiramisu, giving, and then from there, you go straight into a Chocolate Mode. This means that you've basically given Chocolate Mode an extra material to then special summon, which is quite handy actually. So you use Chocolate Mode's effect, you bounce back your Angeli Engrave back to your deck. Now your best one to detach is the level 4 Madolche Magdalene, or in some cases if you ever find yourself lucky to have another level 4, basically detach that one. The reasons are because once you special summon, you want to special summon out Messenger Gelato, and with it you want to acquire the field spell, because once activated, any Madolche monster in your grave is returned back to the deck. This then bounces back your monster, not XYZ, back into your deck, and you can trigger Chocolate Mode effect again. Now, it wouldn't work with if you had detached tiramisu, because it would return back to the extra deck, and Chocolate Mode specifically requires you to special summon, or return it back to the main deck. So with Chocolate Mode, you special summon out a second Messenger Gelato. Just get that. And then with it, obviously you add a ticket to hand, and you activate it from there. And then from there we get another tiramisu with that. And it is important that your opponent does have cards on their side of the field, otherwise you won't really be able to trigger effect, and thus causing to use Chocolate Mode's effect for the third time. So you bounce back Messenger Gelato back into your deck, and tiramisu back to your extra deck, target your opponent's cards. This will then compulsory trigger your ticket, and then with this you can actually use Chocolate Mode's effect again. Now the way I did it, I went into one Pudding Cess and another Pudding Cess, which from then you can actually just go straight into another Chocolate Mode. Use the Chocolate Mode that you exceed summon from the two Pudding Cesses, target Pudding Cess, bounce it back, and you can detach for anything in a sense really. In some cases, I think I went into Hoot Cake for the replay, but I'll show a different alternative another time. But yeah, for this one I'll be showing the dual replay version. So I went into a rank 3, the highest I had was Levia, and then from there I exceed, summon one more time onto Chocolate Mode, use her effect, bounce back Pudding Cess, and then use the one that still has a Pudding Cess, detach, special summon out my highest beta, which is Croissant. Use Croissant effect, you can either bounce back Chateau or Ticket. In this case I went for Chateau, playing back Chateau, bounces back into the deck, and that is the OTK. So that's that for this video. I will plan to provide you more Madolche OTK combos with this deck. I will not change the deck recipe, and if you would like to duel me on DevPro, you find me by the name of TheShypianist, and I will be happy to play you with this deck or the many 39 other decks I have. And if you see me on Dueling Network, my Dueling Network name is the Creator God of Light. But yeah, if you ever see me on I'll be mainly on DevPro, so if you see me on there, send me a duel request and I'll play with you with my Madolches. So this is TheShypianist, or Donald of Zephyr Wargames, signing out, and happy dueling.